I just filmed this video just to realize that my camera was not working. Actually, I had the back camera facing me, and unfortunately my book literally shut off the recording mechanism, so that's cool. So we're gonna try this again once more with Spirit. Today, as you guys saw from the title and thumbnail, I don't think I've ever seen anybody else do this, but I thought it'd be fun to go over all the books that I've read in my Goodreads career, essentially, and see how many of them were on my physical TBR, how many of them I read that weren't on my physical TBR, stuff like that. Obviously, I know that I said this in like the previous recording, but obviously you guys aren't going to see that, so I don't know why I'm even mentioning it, but I think we are going to start seeing a trend around 2019 when I kind of got like, not that I hadn't had like a job before this, but I only had to clean my uncle's house once every week, so yeah, it wasn't like a huge undertaking necessarily, but I'm very intrigued to see at what point we are going to change from me only reading books on my physical TBR to me not reading books on my physical TBR and just reading whatever I want. So if you don't know how to see all of the books that you've ever read since you've had Goodreads, basically you'll get into the Goodreads app, you'll be on the home screen, you'll click more on the right hand side, and then you will click reading challenges, and then you will click past challenges and reading goals, and then it'll show you everything. So according to this, I started using Goodreads when I was 14 in 2015. So we are going to go through 2015, 2016, and 2017 today, because all in all, in those 3 years, I actually only read 23 books, which is totally fine. Like, I don't know. You guys want to see something funny though? So if you guys can tell, my 2015 goal was actually 30 books, and then I'm assuming 2016 must have been when I really started watching Booktube, because I suddenly go to 125 books read. And I remember being a cocky little, when I was younger, because I used to think reading 100 books has to be so easy, like I must like quadruple that. No, I did not. But I only read 11 books that year, and then in 2017 I put my goal at 32, which was more realistic, but I still only read 11, which is fine. Obviously, no matter how many books you read, you are a reader. It does not matter. So let us start with 2015. And this one is an interesting one, because this one I'm pretty sure that I owned and I read physically. I think I actually owned like the movie tie-in edition. It's Paper Towns by John Green. I'm trying to remember what year the movie came out. Actually, hey Siri, what year did the movie of Paper Towns come out? So, oh, that's July 14th, 2015. So I'm guessing that I must have read this right before the movie came out. August 7th is when I read this. So what I'm guessing is, I do remember correctly, I must have had the movie tie-in edition. I think that I owned this, but I don't ever remember getting rid of it, but I know that we don't have it at my house. So I don't know. I'm gonna say yes, I owned it and I read it, so that would be 1. I can't remember when I started like getting books for Christmas, but we're gonna assume that I owned it and read it, because I remember the movie tie-in, like reading the movie tie-in and hating the cover. Anyways, so in 2015, this one was pretty easy, obviously. 100% of the books that I read in 2015 were on my physical TBR, as far as I remember. And the rest of the years are going to get easier. Obviously, I've already looked at them because I already recorded this video. But next, we are going to 2016. Like I said, I read 11 books. The first book I read was apparently Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I read this in school for my English class, and so obviously, like, I didn't own it physically. The next one is Eve by Anna Carey. And this was definitely on my physical TBR. I owned it up until I finished the series, and then I literally hated the series so bad that I unhauled all of them. I do think that I would like to buy and reread Eve. I feel like it's a dystopian book that kind of, you know, sign of the times, kind of like Fahrenheit 451, completely different, like, in scope, but those are 2 books that I'd like to reread. Then we have My Wattpad Love by Ariana Godoy. Sorry that I don't know how to say her last name. And obviously I didn't own this, it was on Wattpad. Then we have Hey Cupcake by Mad Creations, from Wattpad, did not own it physically. Be Card by Alicia Michaels, didn't own this one, it was on Wattpad. And The Death of Me by Red Topic 127, Wattpad, did not own it physically. 7 Minutes in Hell by Lake and Marie, Say It With Me, Wattpad, did not own physically. My Brother's My Mate by Purple Bunnies, 106, Wattpad, did not own. The Girl He Never Noticed by Sweet Dreamer 33, did not own, it was on Wattpad exclusively. Mine by Sweet Dreamer 33 as well. And I remember loving, and my Wattpad love. I remember loving all of those. Anyways, back to the task at hand. Obviously it was on Wattpad. I did not own it. And then The Devil is My Guardian, which I also remember really loving, by Brie Cheese. I really loved that one as well, but I obviously read it on Wattpad. So out of the 11 books, only one of them was on my physical TBR. But this does make sense. Obviously, like, I have one school read, and then the rest I obviously read on my phone. I remember reading them on my phone when Wattpad used to be free and you didn't need coins to read books, which I do understand why they're doing that, so they can pay their authors, but still, it was a different time. I do wish, I have looked up all the Wattpad books that I read, and I can reread most of them, but The Death of Me isn't on there. I believe 7 Minutes in Hell is not on there. And then I also believe that The Devil is My Guardian, I couldn't find either. But I think I'm gonna look into that one because I really want to reread that one. If you guys would be interested in me rereading Wattpad books, let me know. Next we get to 2017, and I believe this is actually a pretty good year stat-wise. So I read 11 books again. The first book I read, This Song Will Save Your Life by Layla Sales, and I got this one from the library, so I did not own it. The Haunting of Sunshine Girl by Paige Makenzie, I did own. Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand, I read in an English class, so I did not own that one. Before I Fall, I read and owned. Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick, I read and owned. 13 Reasons Why, I borrowed from a friend, so I did not own that one. Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han, I read off of my physical TBR. Everything by Nicole Yoon, yes. It's Not Summer Without You and We'll Always Have Summer by Jenny Han, yes. And Wings by April and Pipe. So that is that's 8 books. So only 3 of the books that I read that year were not on my physical TBR, which I think is pretty good stats, if I do say so myself. So those are all the books that we're gonna go over. I feel like this is a really short video, but they are going to start getting progressively longer. These ones were all pretty easy to remember because I remember reading them, but I do think that in 2018, I'm gonna have a little bit of a harder time remembering. So stay tuned. Part 2 will be up very shortly because I'm actually gonna film it right now. I might also film part 3. I don't know. In part 3, I read 70 books. 2019, I read 70, so we'll see. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video idea. If you did, let me know the earliest book you remember reading or the earliest book that you logged on Goodreads. Obviously, mine was Paper Towns by John Green. But before that, I believe I picked that one up because I had already read and loved The Fault in Our Stars. And I do want to reread that book so bad, but I'm really scared to. But the earliest childhood book that I remember reading is actually, I believe, like the Magic Tree House books. So yeah, let me know the earliest book you remember reading. And thank you so much for watching my video. If you like me, if you like my face, if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you want to see my face again, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified every time I post a new video, honestly, I'd follow me on Instagram. That's where you're going to get all the first updates. But if you don't have Instagram, cross your fingers. Hope the notification bell works. And with all that being said, I will talk to you all in my next video very, very soon. Bye, everyone.
When you're not here, the sun don't shine. When you're not near, I don't feel like I do when you're